have on the back.
What's going on, beautiful people? I am the Grandmaster, and I also go by D-Ray, bringing you guys the next segment, the next episode in the Grandmaster's Table. We are so excited to be sitting down with Rissoux, but before we do that, I'd like to introduce my co-host. Go and say hi, Summer.
Hi.
Guys, we are sitting down today with the owner-commissioner of the WPF, which stands for the World Pokemon Federation. Rissoux, go and say hi, my man.
That's me. Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Guys, today is a day for us to be able to dive into Rissoux's life, kind of understand who he is as a person, who he is as a content creator, or who he is as a battler, right? Who is a battler?
Yeah, not so much a content creator anymore. I kind of suck at the whole YouTube thing. You've got it down pat, but I kind of suck at it.
he took a stab, but he's still pretty solid. I love them graphics, and we'll get to that in just a second, guys. And if you guys are new here, please do me a massive favor. Hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, hit the bell button so you guys get notified every single time I post a new video. And if you like this podcast and if you love the series in general, do us a massive favor and smash the thumbs up button. You know, supports us and what we do and shows that you care about what we're doing. So, guys, please do that little half second, hit the thumbs up button. That'd be great. Rissoux, so first question that I want to ask you. First question that I've been wanting to ask you. I think this is the day I met you. When did you start the WPF and where was the idea behind that?
So, I feel like I had the same sort of revelation that a lot of the Discord Draft League players have had at the sort of beginning part of their career, where they said, man, I really like this Draft League thing, but every league I'm in dies because it's all ran by guys who don't know what they're doing. They're very inexperienced. The drafting is awesome, but then it dies like 2 or 3 weeks in and you're like, man, I really want something that is consistent. And that was sort of the idea that I had behind my league, was that, you know what? I want to be in 3 leagues, so I'm going to run 3 and be in all of them. And that's kind of how it started, morphed.
Nice. And how long?
Because I'm a pretty impatient guy. It started, I think, in November of 2018. November or December, something like that. It's been a while now.
That's crazy. So you've been keeping it strong this long. That's intense.
It's awesome. I really enjoy it. Which, by the way, to preface this conversation a little bit, for everybody who is thinking about hitting the subscribe button or whatever, that whole 45-second intro that Daniel did just now was in one take, like right off the bat. I myself, the jab a second ago about being a bad content creator, I think I made 2 or 3 videos. You would not believe. I think it was 15 minutes I had to dedicate to like nailing my intro. Like, no, I didn't get the right inflection that time. I got to do it again. And it was just, oh my Lord, over and over and over again. So props to you for being able to just flip the switch and be on like that. I couldn't do it.
We're going to shed the light in just a second, because I'm super flattered that you said that, but under full context, and Summer's going to call me out if I don't say this, that I think that the repetitiveness of me making that intro the same in every single one of my videos makes it simple to where I could do it on the spot. But before I started this whole content creation thing, I would sit in front of the computer and be the exact same way. I legit would hit the record button, do an intro, and I'm like, no, I sound stupid. And then do it again. Yeah. No, I sound retarded.
And I'm sure she's in the corner of the room, like on her phone. Like, God damn it, just get it right already.
But in the beginning, when he first started like getting this programmed into his mind, he would just randomly throughout the day just repeat the whole thing to himself. Like not even sitting in front of the computer, just like we're taking the kids out or something, and then he looks at me and just says the whole freaking intro. I'm like, okay.
Summer wasn't my audience, she was my day one audience. So that's the thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're like, I feel like when it's like one of those moments that you're like standing in front of a person and you're trying to walk opposite ways, but you're blocking each other.
No, it's when you're trying to shake a hand, you're trying to shake someone's hand and they want to do a fist bump, but you're trying to shake.
We're just gonna dance here in the middle of the hall.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna ask you, so you said you're really busy. What do you do?
So I am in the Army. So I am so every job in the Department of Defense has a sort of what's called an MOS attached to it, right? So my job title boils down to a 3-letter identifier. So I'm a 92 Yankee or a unit supply specialist. Basically, I'm a logistician. Only assigned to an infantry unit, so they keep me busy. And that's that. So that's it.
Oh, how long have you been in the? How long have you been in the Army?
6.5 years now.
Wow.
2014.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 2014, February 2014. Holy shit!
You're like, dang.
Sounds like time.
I keep having those. I'm so sorry. This is like a family friendly thing, right? So I should probably stop.
No, it's not at all.
No, you should.
No, not even close. So you're fine.
For the characters that we've had on the podcast, the beginning idea was we're like, hey man, if some kids watch this,
a little note in the Discord.
And as the guests started coming, we're like, yeah, that cap has been pulling off a long time ago.
Because I typed in a little note on the Discord. I was like, please remember, try not to cuss, like to myself as I'm like talking to you guys, and it just hasn't worked so far.
No, it doesn't. That's it for us too. So it's not. Don't worry about it.
Censorship is tough. Self-censorship is incredibly tough.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what's wild is running the community. So in WPF, I think we have the live count is like 419 people currently are in the server. The younger the guy is that's normally talking in the chat, the more volatile their speech.
Oh yeah,
yeah, so
for
strange.
sure.
Like almost no matter what the context is, like it's a inverse sort of correlation. We're like, oh, this dude used 17 expletives in a 2-sentence note somehow. So like he's probably 8 or 9. Like he's a young guy.
Yeah, he's trying to use these words in a way it's somewhere where he's like where he can use them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a bitch liar. I'm not sure that works, right?
I mean,
That's funny.
I bet you there's been a couple times that I would go through servers and then I will start to learn like new words or new terms that are like in now with the kids.
Oh no! So, you guys said something a moment ago. Oh no, that's what it was. So when you asked me how long I had been in the military, that's not a metric that I just keep ready in the front of my brain. So it was wild to think back. It'd take like the solid 5 seconds to think back like, wow, it's been 7 years since high school. Like I'm starting to get old and I'm having those moments more and more frequently. A huge part of that is hanging out with these kids on Discord, man.
Daniel just shed a tear because you said it's been 7 years since high school, and this past year he celebrated his 10 year.
But that's it, man. Like all of the sort of hip youngster moments I have are no longer. I think I said lit in the chat the other day and got roasted for it.
No, I was saying Daniel just shed a tear right now because you said it's been 7 years since high school, and last year he celebrated his 10-year reunion. So he's like, oh.
Dude.
You guys are a little older than me.
Daniel is. I'm younger, I should say, not young.
But we were I was talking about the so my reunion came up and all my friends would message me and they said, hey man, are you still in town? I was like, bro, I never left.
One of those.
I had one of those.
So did you go?
I didn't get to go.
Right?
No, we didn't get to go. I don't know what happened. Something came up and he didn't get to go, but
I'm sure there'll be another 15-year reunion.
It's 20. The next one's 20.
And it's going to sneak up so quick. It's incredible.
It's going to be just Daniel sitting in the auditorium at the 15-year. Like, where is everybody?
Right?
Guys. But Rizzo,
that's cool, man. No, so like 10 years from now, you can flex your Twitch subscriber count.
Yeah.
Right.
Your YouTube views. Like, look at my metrics.
Guys, I'm YouTube famous. I can't wait for the 20-year reunion if I can keep up this content creation stuff. And then they ask, what do you do for a living? And they fill out the little card and they say, hey, I'm a YouTuber.
That's it. I wonder how that works, really. So, like, I looked at a couple of A drives. Like, he does various vlogs and whatever. There was I think a Twitch stream that he did where he was doing like Pokemon Go, and he had this whole contraption set up where it was like a belt with an arm that like held the phone in front of his face so he could do like 2 or 3 things at the same time.
Oh my god!
And just imagine being a bystander walking on the street, being like, "Ooh, that guy."
Yeah, he has a backpack that has like this pole holder that holds his keyboard in front of him, and then his phone holder comes out of his backpack, goes in front of him, and then he has another arm that films himself as he has his phone up, and this backpack is like the size of his torso. So, and then
dang,
because he was like on Snapchat. I remember someone was Snapchatting him, and it looked like he was Doc Ock from Spider-Man. So I thought that was pretty sick.
You know what? It works for him though. Like he does that for a living.
It
like,
does.
Exactly.
Shout out to A Drive. Shout out to Dan. Still doing.
Oh
the
my
thing.
Lord.
Rizzo. So
But yeah.
how long have you been a fan of Pokemon? How long have you? What was the first time you've ever dipped into the community? Just as not as a not as a fan of doing Draft League, but just as a fan in general.
Yeah.
So like way back when Silver came out, I think it was like 2001, 2002, that sort of era. My mom. So do I tell the story? Yeah, I'm gonna tell the story. Okay, so I was
yes, you tell the story.
I was like, so I was like 8 or 9, and my mom and I, our thing was that we went to Chili's in the middle of the day because like I got out of preschool or whatever I was in at the time, and she got off work at about that same time. So she would pick me up like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would go to like the Chili's on the way home, stop, get like a chip, salsa, queso, hang out, and then go home. She made a joke one day that she would bet me $20 that I wouldn't eat one of the like the red jalapeno peppers that were sitting on the table. And of course I snatched it and engulfed it immediately. But she had a train of these Chili's employees who were like firemen, like bringing me milk and bread and all this. And I'm like rolling around on the floor in agony because I'm still to this day, I'm just such a wuss when it comes to spicy things.
It sounds like
like the mild Tostito salsa, like that's enough for me.
Yeah.
But I got my $20, went to GameStop. She like gave me the extra $5 because I had, puppy dog eyes, whatever. But the Nintendo, what was it called? The old, not even the color. Yeah, it was just the Game Boy Color. Exactly
Game Boy
right.
Color, yeah.
Yeah, and like Silver and Gold had dropped like a couple of weeks prior, so I got that for the color, and that was my first kind of dab into Pokemon itself. I got Silver because Lugia is the homeboy. That's how it goes.
That leads into the segue into the next question, is that we like to ask this because there's typically a good story that's attached to it. If you were to pick one Pokemon out of the whole shebang, this doesn't have to be competitive wise, it just doesn't have to be aesthetically, what's your favorite Pokemon of all time?
So it's a toss-up, right? So when I got that copy of Silver, I want to say it took me like a month, like a solid month to beat it the first time through. And if you'll remember kind of how the linear progression of the game goes, go to like your 4th or 5th gym. It's like in the islands, right? I like stumbled upon Lugia's like cave.
Yeah.
And spent the better part of like a week trying to catch this thing by like essentially soft resetting what it was back in the day. And I finally got it, and I thought I like beat the game. Like that was it. So I just went around town just nuking like Mareep, Steelix, like nothing was safe from this Lugia. And that's just how I played the game for months and months and months. So it's either Lugia itself or Tyrantrum. And that really just boils down to I like dinosaurs. It's a T-Rex, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, because at the same time when I was doing Pokemon Silver, Jurassic Park was like on steady repeat in my bedroom on VHS. So like I would
Your two
rewind
worlds
it,
collided.
watch it back through. Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. So it's
if
either
you had
Tyrantrum or Lugia.
If
So
you had to throw a
toughen up.
tiebreaker, so we're gonna make you do this.
We're gonna make you.
You're gonna make me crush my dreams.
We have to separate the ties. If I were to say I can give you only one of the two, knowing that Tyrantrum is your mascot of your draft league team, what would be your number one?
I feel like if I say Lugia right now, I'm gonna jinx myself. I'm gonna lose every match from here on out. So I'll go with the mascot. Yeah, we'll go Tyrantrum. It's gotta be shiny. That's the deal. It's gotta be blue.
It's gotta be blue.
Lugia is a great mom, but the shiny Tyrantrum is phenomenal.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Clean, isn't it?
It is really nice.
It goes from
I love it.
It goes from one red to a beautiful blue.
Yeah, with
Very
the
nice.
gray on that's nice.
So would you say the Jurassic Park movies are your favorite movies? I think we had this conversation on your podcast last time.
We might have. I'm not sure. See, I used to be a really big movie guy. Like when I was back in, so I'm from Oklahoma originally. I claim that state, even though I live in North Carolina now. I used to watch movies all the time. I don't watch them anymore. So I don't think I would have any choice but to say yes. The whole Jurassic Park, Jurassic World franchise is great. I think the only sort of competitor would be the first 3 or 4 Transformer movies, because those were amazing. Like the first Transformer movie when it came out in theaters was the hypest thing, if I can use that word without being criticized,
Shout out to the
in quite some
Amazon
time.
server.
That was amazing.
Shout out to me. I'm gonna be honest.
Don't do it. You're just your job is to be
Go
here
ahead,
as my
roast me. Go
co-host.
ahead.
No, I'm not
No,
roasting
she's
you.
not.
I'm gonna get roasted because I have not. Daniel is also the biggest fan of the Transformer movies and also all Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I have not seen any of the Transformers, maybe bits and pieces here and there. I know.
That's what I said.
And I was little when Jurassic Park first came out. Like, I don't even have recollection of
The first trio.
the first trio at all watching it. I highly doubt that I did too. So I'm getting roasted. I know.
I think that when we first started dating, I would tell her that because the Jurassic Park movies are probably some of my favorites too.
Yeah.
Just because dinosaurs obviously are so phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when we first started dating, we were talking about movies, like what's your favorite movie, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I told her, I was like, hey, I like the Jurassic Park movies. I like the Transformer movies. Exactly like we're saying right now. And she's like,
What?
I haven't seen those movies before. And I said, we can't go on our next date. It's been real.
But you know what? She had enough game to get you back.
Yeah.
Here you are.
This is true.
Exactly.
This is true. The ball and chain never came off.
Yeah, so I'm about to get roasted for that because I don't even have, like, there's a Transformer movie on TV the other day. I think it was like the last one with Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I just it was like I saw parts of it and that was it for me. I wasn't like excited by it or anything.
I heard of blood. Are you not a fan of Shia LaBeouf?
No, I like Shia. The Transformers really started to fall into the same sort of route that Fast and the Furious has experienced, where they're on their 8th or 9th movie at this point.
Yeah.
After the third one, I think it was Dark Side of the Moon. That should have been it. And then, like we've just discussed, as somebody who was both into Transformers and dinosaurs, they merged them together somehow in, I think, the 4th one, and that was dog shit. Like, aside from the multi-million-dollar CGI effects they spent on the movie itself,
Yeah.
plot, actors, everything was just horseshit.
Yeah, but there's that fallen victim of your own success, where I think that once you start to make the money and you continue to dip your hand into the gold pot, thinking that you'll get more coming back.
Yeah.
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
of course.
I think the last one was just a little bit too much. But hey, you never know. If you keep making money, you want to keep making money from there on, right?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, whoever the directors of Fast and Furious are, I don't think they're ever going to get over it. They're going to be on
John Cena's in it now, so
we're gonna be
Is
like
he?
we're gonna be what, like in our 50s watching Fast and the Furious 20.
I'm gonna be able to tell my kids like, hey, these Fast and Furious movies, they were still around when you
When I
weren't
was
born.
5.
Well, and what's funny about that whole series is it started back in like the 90s, right?
It was a 2001.
Like the original Fast.
2001.
2001 was the very first Fast and Furious.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about like Tokyo Drift and like those older sort of movies.
Yeah, and Tokyo Drift was like technically the third one, right?
Tokyo Drift was the second.
It was
No, it was the third.
It
It was
was
the
the
third.
third
It was
because
the
it was Too Fast, Too Furious after that. I know.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, trying to keep up.
It's hilarious looking at the film titles though, like right next to each other and seeing the progression, like on paper right next to each other is hilarious to look at.
Yeah.
The Fast and Furious, the Fast Too Furious.
Yeah.
On and on and on and on.
The Furious 9, like different. They try to reword it in different ways.
So, Rizzo,
Ridiculous.
what does your day-to-day life look like? I know that you are in the military right now, and then you have this as a job currently. So what does your day look like when you wake up and then when you go to bed?
Oh man, so
I'm sure it's very complicated.
let's do two versions. So version 1 is like coronavirus level, so what's happening
Yeah.
now. Version 2 is like a normal daily sort of thing. So version 1 right now is actually pretty sweet. It's
Pretty sweet.
I'm on what's called Mission Essential Manning until next Tuesday, but the funny thing about that deadline is that it's very soft in that it's already been pushed back, I think 2 or 3 times at this point. Like, we'll just go to work next week. Never mind, it's still a thing. We're going to go to work next week. And you don't really go into work unless you're needed for whatever is deemed essential.
Gotcha.
So I have 7 guys that work directly under me that I supervise on a daily basis. How it works is that I'm a pay grade E5 rank sergeant, right?
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
7 guys that work for me are all junior enlisted except for 2 other NCOs or non-commissioned officers, right? So like a sergeant is a non-commissioned officer, without getting too deep into the sort of rank structure there.
Yeah.
Those 7 guys work for me and they do various other things within the organization called a company. They have it pretty sweet right now as well. So like, unless they have to go to work and do anything, right? So like one guy is a communication specialist. 2 of them run the company arms room where we keep all of our weapons, ammunition, etc. They just send me a "I'm alive" text by like
Wow.
by like 9 o'clock every morning, and then I say, "Okay, thanks, fuck off,"
I'm alive.
and then I don't need to talk to them again unless there's something put out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Crazy.
And that's what we're doing until next week. But you never know. Next Monday may
Yeah.
come and they say, you know what? We still don't want you at work. Come back a week from now. So who knows?
Crazy.
That's incredible. Are you stationed at a certain area in the country right now and then you move often?
Yeah. So Fort Bragg in North Carolina is I think the largest Army installation on the eastern seaboard. And that's where I'm at.
And so, so what is so are you just like chilling now with this since you're doing that, or are you because there's like half the people in lockdown right now are either just like relaxing, doing absolutely nothing, and the other half are like trying to get their shit together.
How do you mean the other half? I'm sorry.
The other half, like half the people are like relaxing and like not doing anything, and other people are like, I don't know. I see people like motivated and like working out at home and doing all this stuff. Like, what are you?
I think what she's trying to say is, where's your mentality
Yeah.
sitting at right now? Like, are you motivated to continue yourself being
I'm
busy?
very much being a shitbag currently. No, so how it shakes out is like you have a set criteria and items that you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis, right? So like my chain of command wants everybody to work out like twice a day because you have the time to. Why not? The issue with that is that I've found over the past 3 or 4 weeks, all the gyms are closed down.
Yeah.
I don't have home workout equipment. So like how many runs can I reasonably be expected to go on in a week?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there are definitely guys out there who are getting into it and really spending as much time as they can bettering themselves physically. I just also happen to run this WPF thing and it's a very intensive hobby. So I'm just hanging out for the time being and doing that. So it really just depends on the person that you ask.
100%.
A big factor of that as well is that how many of the guys who are on lockdown live in the what are called barracks, which are like military dorms, right?
Yeah.
So our barracks building, one building houses a battalion, right? So if we're talking about, does anybody want to hear me talk about this anymore?
No, go for it.
No, go for it. We're listening.
It's funny because I talked to my wife Victoria a couple of times about, because the Army takes up such a large portion of my life.
100%.
Yeah.
Really.
And we thank you for your service, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Of course. Thank you for the support. Everybody in the Army has the capacity to talk about like the Army forever. So balancing that when you're talking to people who are not Army is something that you have to kind of finesse, right? So like I am still trying to gauge when to segue away from like, oh yeah, this is that and this is that, because it's a lot of information to take in. But
nah, bro, you flex any opportunity you get.
yeah. But I guess the tail end of that question is that because there are up to like 400 guys living in the barracks at any given time, like they just run out of things to do because they live on post. There's not that many places to go. Like these dudes would be. So I have a buddy who has a 2017 Jeep Wrangler who, when I had to go into work last week, I saw him attach like sling straps to the front of his Jeep, and he was in essence farmer carrying the Jeep. So like he had the straps wrapped around his waist and his shoulders, and he was just pulling it.
Oh my god!
Like across the road, like as his workout session. Like that's the sort of creativity and boredom that those guys are getting into. He didn't even have the parking brake. It wasn't that impressive. It's fine.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'll take it back. That's crazy.
But that's it. Yeah.
That's intense, man. That's like I said. Thank you so much for your service. And you can always talk to me anytime about any
It's
military
like
stuff.
it's when something is so it's like your life basically. It's hard not to talk about it. Like whoever the person is, whatever they're doing, that's how they are. So it's fully you don't have to apologize for it.
Man. I'm sure we're not alone. I'm sure we all appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
100%. And then
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
There is a lot of information for us. There's we live in San Diego, so we're around a lot of military, and Daniel has a lot of cousins and that are currently in the military.
Yeah, I got one in the Navy, got one in the Marines. I have one in the Air Force. No, she's not in the Air Force anymore. No, 2 Armies, 1 Marine, and the other one is in the National Guard. So I got a bunch of
all kinds of stuff. So yeah, you guys get it for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
And then
you have Marines out there in San Diego, right? Is it 29 Palms?
We have 29 Palms. We have Camp Pendleton. Those are Marines. We also have a smaller, which is more of it's a Marine, and I think Air Force. I'm not 100% sure. At Miramar, and then Navy we have Coronado.
Yeah,
definitely.
My cousin.
California's busy for you guys.
No,
100%. My cousin was she was in the Marines for quite some time, and she was doing her jobs inward, and she ended up having to leave because of personal reasons. But when she was like deep into it, she would come back from her leave. And it was the funniest memory that I'll ever have of my cousin. She is probably 5'1".
Not even
5'2". Chili.
Chili, she's like barely 5 foot.
She's barely 5 foot, mind you. And this girl is probably the thinnest, but very, very strong. She's so tiny. She went over and she told us, she's like, I'm gonna be in the Marines. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so she goes off and then comes back, and it's Thanksgiving time, I think is what it was. And it had been like 2 years since I'd seen her. And I said, okay, hey, what's new? And she said, well, and we're sitting next to each other, right, at the dinner table. And she says, well, I could kill you with this spoon in 3 different ways. I'm like, okay. All right. I'm going to move my table. I'm going to move my plate slightly to the right. Good to see you. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. Good for her, definitely.
Yeah, man. And then so your incredibly time-consuming hobby, the WPF. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So how does your day-to-day operations in that look? Does it really take that much time?
So it does. I've definitely gotten a system in place by which I save myself a lot of time. So I've actually got a whole timeline Google Doc set up to where it tracks what we're doing. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. Well, so I can actually talk about it while I have it.
And the reason why I asked that is because it's incredibly super impressive the way you do run this. Just from me being an insider, because when I first came into the WPF, I was watching you run what? At the time, you didn't have the S division, so you had the A, B, C, and D divisions, and which is 4.
Yep.
And some would have, I think, 12 to 16 coaches in each division, plus the spectators that are running speed tours, etc. So it's a lot of moving parts day to day.
So one of the ways that I think I've really helped streamline the entire process by itself is that I have two people that I kind of employ. Employ is the wrong word because obviously I'm not paying them, but it's 2 people that sort of run each activity within the division. Or within the league itself, right? So I've got, in the S division, right, it's Techno and Electric, which are mods. Pierre and Queen are in A. Majora and Artesian are in B. Jolt's in, I don't know how to say his name, Kaiwai, I guess, is in C. John and Gene are in D. Dilly runs the Victory Road Challenge, which is the gym leader, collect all 18 badges and do whatever sort of challenge. Ravens runs the speed tours, and then I've got 3 guys who are running the team draft currently. So one of the ways that they really help me keep everything together is that I implore them to run their divisions as their own sort of subsidiary leases within the league itself. Obviously, I'm still kind of ultimately responsible for making sure that there's good quality control in regards to the day-to-day decisions that are made in regards to like, yeah, these transactions are good, you guys can have an extension, whatever. But they very much run their own, and I just kind of oversee everything over there.
That's good. So you essentially just give them the freedom to kind of do their own thing within a certain guideline to make it,
That's
run as
it,
smooth as
yeah.
possible.
Because a lot of people really do. Nathan is a great example of this. A lot of people do want to run their own draft league and have kind of their own community, but putting in the legwork yourself requires really a lot of your own time and investment that you may really not have that much. So it's easier for me to say to these guys, hey, we want to do everything to standard within the WPF. So here's a division. You and this other guy take it and run with it. We've already set up the doc for you. Everything's on the same page already. There's really not much you have to do other than actually run the division, which is what a lot of people want to do.
That's awesome.
And we've had pretty good success with it. The last season or two, we've gone through a couple of roster changes, but I'm really confident in the roster that we have now of guys who are content to hang out, and they really help me run things.
That's perfect, because you're right. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, I can run a draft league community, but sometimes they don't understand what it entails and all the backbone work that needs to be done within an actual league itself. So that's really cool that you give them that freedom. It's not like, do it this way or else, which is kind of cool. I can respect that.
Yeah.
What's your
because they have to have fun running it too.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if they log onto Discord and they're getting hit up like, hey, I need you to do this, and this, it's going to feel like more of a job than like, hey, like I got this thing that I'm kind of responsible for and have a stake in as well. I'm going to make sure it's ran the best as I can.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Two different incentive systems.
Yeah, man. And shout out to all those dudes. If you guys are listening to the podcast, we appreciate you. You guys run this thing incredibly flawlessly from an outsider looking in. You guys do a great job. All I've always heard from the WPF is that it's run really well. There's a lot of people that stream into other communities because I'm a big part of the APA, and they have their own kind of subsystem, kind of like the WPF does, and a lot of people kind of go into both, and all I hear is positive stuff out of the WPF. So if you guys haven't checked out, or if you guys want to get started in any kind of draft league stuff, please, I do encourage you to check out the WPF and any one of their many divisions and participate in those, because there's some high level competition in there, and it's definitely going to help you learn. It's going to help you interact with other players and kind of get yourself step forward into the community. So if you guys are new, I highly encourage you guys to check that out.
Two sort of notes along with that promotional plug as well is that I've been playing competitive draft league for going on 19 months now. I'm a C division guy in WPF, whereas the divisions are oriented based on skill, right? So like your D division guys are kind of brand new on the ground floor, still getting their feet wet in the format itself. And then it just scales as it goes up. So like C division's a little bit better. B division's even better than that. A and then S at the very top. Those guys come to play, man. Like B, A, and S, like they're playing their hearts out every week. But I think one of the things that is also really, really great about the community that we have at WPF that kind of sets us apart from other draft leagues as well. Something that we do different is that it's very family oriented in that all of the general chat, family kitchen, because we really want to sort of broadcast that level of inclusiveness that you see the member count, you say, oh man, there's like 430 people in here. I'm just one guy. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to worry about it. But it's possible, regardless on whether or not if you've been in the league for 16, 18 months, 18 hours or seconds, there's always something to do.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of it being like, people can start. I have no idea about Pokemon or like draft or anything like that. So just as a general thing, I like to help people start off. That's a cool
yeah, not only to let
structure.
people start off, but there's a certain essence of what draft league community is. There's the competitors, right? The ones that actually play in draft league, the ones that have something to do, they have preparations every single week, they have a schedule to go for. But then there's the ones that not necessarily are participating, but the ones that are spectating can still kind of converse with the ones that are fans, right? Because for those who have never played draft league before, this is conducted on Showdown in regards to the WPF, and you're able to hop into the actual game itself and then watch the game, comment on the little box that you guys talk about within, and then you can become a fan essentially. And then you're able to talk to these people that play. You're able to come in after a long day. If it's almost like messaging your friends. You have friends that you have in the Draft League community, and the way that WPF kind of puts itself together, it's that it's able to connect the players with the people that just spectate, and it becomes a whole well-rounded community, which is makes you feel a part of something, which is kind of better in regards to the whole grounder spectrum of just playing Pokemon. So that's really cool. It's a good atmosphere to be in. So make sure you guys check out the WPF for sure. Do you guys have anything coming up pretty soon? Any big plans for the WPF? The floor is yours. There's the plugs in.
So it's funny. I don't know if you are actually looking at the chat now or like our chat in Discord. I linked the document that I used to sort of superficially run everything from the top down. I call that the season timeline, right? So this is my master kind of matrix where on any given week I can come in here and look and be like, oh, okay, let's see, it is currently 22 April. So team draft is in week 2. Applications for off-season season 5 are going to be coming out probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And that's how I kind of keep track of everything at the same time. As far as anything coming up soon, it really is just our next off-season division, season 5. The applications, I think, are going to be coming out beginning of May. So yeah, 2 or 3 weeks from now. That, I think, is one of my more favorite parts of the league. It's difficult to run because the formats aren't always super popular, but it gives just one more outlet for somebody to say, like, I'm tired of the regular sort of draft league scene where it's the same Pokemon, same rules, in and out, whatever. We have a rotating format every season that is voted on by the people in WPF, right? So we started off with season 1 was tier 3 and below, which takes the normal tiers of Pokemon where you have like Landorus, Therian, a tier 1 normally, tiers 1 and 2, and completely chops them off. So then things like Chandelure and Bronzong, those are at the top of the meta all of a sudden, and it really shifts the entire way the rest of the season is played, because you're using mons that you're not normally used to in a much more prominent way.
That's awesome. Shout out to Kyle A, because I think that he did something similar in the P4G, and then that
I
was
love myself some Kyle.
Yeah, that was groundbreaking. I remember when he actually did that. He made that format in the P4G for Wi-Fi, and you see the big names out there making, like you said, the tier 3 Pokemon like the best in the format, which necessarily wouldn't happen in other draft leagues, because those Pokemon won't always not just be drafted, but they become, groundbreaking changes in the meta, and it shifts things up. So allowing that variety makes it not only different for the player, but it makes it different and more fun for the people that are participating in the community itself. So that's pretty cool.
It was a lot of fun, man. I love some Kyle A. I was in his Discord for a little while. He's a really cool guy. He's a great streamer. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the other formats. I think we had Ubers, and yeah, we did our team draft started off as an off-season division, but it was so popular that we wound up bringing it back as its own separate thing. And then we just wrapped up dual type. So it's like monotype, but you get 2, which I guess is a little less restricting, but it was interesting.
That's dope, man. That's cool. I'm glad that the WPF is still running healthily. I'm glad that everything is going great. I'm happy for the success that you've gotten. Now the floor is yours. Do you have anything that you want to go ahead and plug for the people to tune into? Maybe the resurrection of your podcast, or the resurrection of the YouTube channel for the WPF? Question mark?
Man, I would love to. I don't think I have the drive to do that as well.
Yeah.
Those thumbnails that I hit you up, I think, like 4 or 5 times. You have no idea. I remember specifically a conversation that we had where I asked you, hey, how do you do your thumbnails? Because I just spent 2.5 hours on mine, and you're like, oh, I did it in 30 seconds on my phone. I was more. Because I think that was a big reason of what kind of killed that for me, is that I wanted to have this sort of professional, like, aesthetic, like the thumbnail on the video. And you're like, yeah, I did it in 30 seconds. Like, bruh. Please.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a lot of moving pieces.
I could never do what Daniel does. I'm the same way. I'm just like, oh my god, I can't. He just figures things out really quick, and that's in the beginning. It took him, like, when he first started, it took him a long time, but he picked it up really quick, and he just kind of, I don't know, ask people, I guess, and you found ways.
Yeah, I mean, you can find anything on YouTube.
He like YouTubed everything.
Yeah, bro. Our YouTube is an amazing source.
Yeah.
Literally, if you can't do anything, you can YouTube how to like cut an apple. It's really like it's that much of a resource, like because there's a specific way to cut an apple. Shout out to not eating the seeds, but like you can literally do anything on YouTube, and I think it's just from repetitive stuff.
What you learn, how you learned.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm thinking back to somebody like creating a script and like setting up a camera and making sure the lighting's fine, and then they're just cutting an apple. That cracked me up.
Imagine like the most perfect lighting, just like perfectly on
just
that
a juicy apple.
Oh my lord. Well, and that's the sort of initiative and drive that I just don't think I have for the whole YouTube content creator thing that I'm glad you do, and that's I think one of the ways that you can know that you're going to succeed in this endeavor eventually is that eventually you're going to have so many videos on YouTube that you're going to get some views, right?
Yeah.
That's
and
the plan.
you're gonna blow up, man. One of these days, you keep at it, you're gonna get there.
I appreciate
I'm
you,
not because I just don't care that much.
I feel
that. You, bro. With that being said, guys, please again do me a massive favor. I will leave a link down in the description below for the Discord of the WPF if you guys are interested in getting into any leagues that you have or any activities that they have. Like he said, he also does speed tours, which are kind of like makeshift leagues where you create a team and then you play for that day and then that's it. So you don't have to fully commit to an entire 10 to 12 week season. So there's a lot of different things that you guys can do in that community. Rizzo and his team do a phenomenal job in making sure that everything runs smoothly. So if you guys haven't done it before, and if you are very curious to step your foot into the Draft League community, I highly suggest you do so. And I'll plug all of the stuff that I can get to plug for Rizzo, because this guy is a phenomenal human being. He's a great person. He just does so much for everybody in the community. And do you have any other closing thoughts, my man, before we cut it out?
No, I'm good, man. I'm glad I was able to come on and talk to you guys for a little while.
It
was great, man.
Having you, like talking to you and stuff. So,
and we appreciate you for
you as well.
And we appreciate you for your service, man. We can't say that enough. Thanks you so much for everything that you do on a day-to-day basis.
Of
Thanks
course,
so much
thank you
for keeping us safe. Alrighty, guys. So with all that being said, we're gonna get the heck up out of here. Have a great rest of your night, and above all else, be nice. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.